Hey guys, Ollie here. So I've been using the MacBook Pro for 2 weeks now and many of you have been asking for a review of it. So here we go. I ended up getting the 15-inch model with the TouchBar. I didn't spec it up all the way, but I got the 2.7 GHz quad-core i7 processor. I got the 16 GB of RAM. I got the 512 GB SSD, and I got the Radeon Pro 455 2 GB memory. I didn't want to spec it up all the way because I knew I wouldn't use it to its full potential, so I ended up just getting the second up from the base model, which I think is good enough for what I need anyway. As expected, the MacBook Pro design and build quality is amazing. There's nothing else that comes close, really. You know, Apple are basically the leaders when it comes to product finish, product quality, except for when it comes to their cables, of course. But you can tell when you pick up this laptop that it's incredibly dense and it's incredibly solid. I really love how Apple have got rid of the silver and now they've moved on to space grey. And I think the space grey on the MacBook Pro looks absolutely stunning. It really looks incredibly classy and it has an incredible finish to it. Apple made a courageous decision to only include 4 USB-C ports and get rid of the SD card slot. Obviously, that's a very bold move by them and something which I think a lot of people aren't happy with. I personally am not too happy with it either, but I can see why they did it. I can see why needing to do it will push forward USB-C, and in a year or two, most new gadgets will be using USB-C anyway. It's very frustrating that Apple call this a Pro machine when they've gotten rid of the SD card slot. Nearly every camera out there uses an SD card slot, so it seems very silly to get rid of a very useful and versatile slot. Because there's only USB-C ports, now you have to use dongles to use your older peripherals. You also have to get dongles if you want to connect up a display, whether it be via HDMI or via DisplayPort. USB-C is definitely the future, but the future just isn't here yet. So we'll be waiting another year or two for everything to catch up. Hopefully by then, USB-C will be everywhere. With the new MacBook Pro, there is also a much larger trackpad. The trackpad is absolutely ginormous. Apple obviously do the best trackpads out there. I personally found this trackpad to be too big when I first started using the MacBook, but over time, using it more and more, I've gotten used to it. Because the MacBook is thinner, they've also made the keyboard much shallower. I'm pretty neutral when it comes to the keyboard. I was easily able to adapt to it within a few days. One of the biggest new features of the MacBook Pro is the TouchBar. The TouchBar replaces the F keys that you'd usually find on a standard keyboard. Apple used to use those keys for brightness, for volume, and for music playback. But now they've incorporated that into a touch-sensitive OLED screen just above the keyboard. Apple's vision of the TouchBar was to give added functionality to applications. For example, when you're typing a message, you can send emojis, you can quickly swipe through them very quickly. In Final Cut Pro, you can easily go through your timeline. In Safari or QuickTime, you can easily skim through a video too. I personally find the TouchBar too much of a gimmick. I mean, I forget it's even there most of the time. I end up setting it to the default controls that you usually find on the keyboard before, such as the brightness controls, the playback controls, and the volume controls. Probably the most useful thing about the TouchBar is the Touch ID button on the right hand side. This Touch ID button enables you to log into your laptop really quickly, and it enables you to carry out purchases online and use it for various other security functionality. I found this year's MacBook Pro to be much better when it comes to handling 4K displays and 4K content. It's much more snappy, the user interface is much smoother, and in general it's just a much better experience. From my 2 weeks of using the MacBook Pro, I found battery life isn't the best, but then I do use it for pro functionality such as designing, developing, video editing, and photography editing. Would I recommend the MacBook Pro? Well, that really depends. If you're looking for a machine with the best specs and the best value for money, the MacBook Pro definitely isn't for you. I feel like the MacBook Pro is more for people who are tied into macOS. So if you're someone like me who uses Sketch or Final Cut or iMessage, you're only going to find these on macOS, you're not going to find them on a Windows PC. But if you're someone who's not tied into macOS and doesn't have any applications tied to macOS, then you may be better off with a Windows machine. Hopefully you enjoy this video of the MacBook Pro and subscribe for more.